going on, your gosh darn Aaron animal guy that watches anime and reacting to stuff? Me, it's here. Yeah. And guess what? We got some freaking ReZero stuff for you today. Man, I love ReZero, bro. ReZero, it's such a good show. It's such a good show. The homie Sansa in my Discord gave me all of the what if stories for ReZero, bro. Literally posted every single one. The only one that they didn't post was Gluttony. Let me double check. Gluttony, yes, because it has some like big spoilers in there, while other ones either have no spoilers, like small spoilers. But today we're going to check out this right here. This is Butterfly Dream ReZero Lust If story. Literally, she said this is if Subaru was just rizzed out. Also, the first comment is kind of funny. This is literally just ReZero as a normal isekai. I love that, and I'm excited for it. Let's hop in this bad boy. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Also, I'll do another like hour-long freaking AMV reaction video soon.
Every year on April 1st, the author of ReZero writes a spin-off story explaining what would have happened if Subaru went down a different route than the one we saw. If you happened to watch my last video, you got to see Subaru as the Purge King. Well, now he's the Harem King. Welcome to the Butterfly Dream, aka the Harem If. This chapter is confirmed to be the Lust If story, but it was actually written before the author had figured out what he wanted the If stories to be. So Lust doesn't exactly belong with the other If stories.
Well, that's
Pride, sloth, wrath, greed, and gluttony all show us what would have happened if Subaru had made the wrong decision at a specific point in the story. All of which, by the way, are beautifully written works of art laced with world building, character development, lore, and information that has allowed us to appreciate ReZero at a higher degree than we ever thought possible.
Gotcha.
Sadly, Lust does not fit that description at all.
Okay.
Again, it was written before the author had established what he wanted the If stories to be, so in comparison to the others, it's just not good. In fact, Lust is the only If story that has ever been deleted by the author. The entire thing was actually written in one sitting, so I probably spent more time reading it than the author spent writing it. But that's because the story wasn't supposed to be good. You see, Lust was actually the author playing an April Fool's prank on the readers. The idea was to upload a ridiculous harem chapter and then delete it a day later, making the readers question their sanity. He wanted the readers to wonder whether the story really existed or if they had just dreamt the whole thing, hence the...
I'm sorry I'm pausing so early. I feel like this makes it a little bit better because personally, I mean, the fact that he just wants to just mess with people is absolutely hilarious. A whole joke, what if story. What's wrong with that? Well, he said it was bad. Maybe hey, that's the charm of it. Just throwing it out there. I mean, honestly, it sounds pretty fun to me.
The title Butterfly Dream. It was all a dream. At the
I
time
used to
of
read
writing
it,
he didn't intend for it to be anything
I was ready to
more
wrap
than a
that.
funny prank, but years later confirmed that it was technically the Lust If. In my opinion, though, it should not be classified as an If story because it's just way too different than the others. It's also the only If story that hasn't been fully translated, so if I happen to make a mistake in this video, feel free to point it out in the comments. Anyway, we aren't sure where exactly this story diverges from the main plot. I'm guessing it was somewhere in Arc 3, but it doesn't really matter anyway because the whole thing's a joke. Now, earlier when I said Subaru was the Harem King, I meant it literally. In this story, Subaru starts out as the King of Lagunica after marrying all 5 royal selection candidates. King Subaru now lives in a royal castle with his harem that consists of all 5 candidates as well as Rem. Petra. The story begins with Subaru being woken up by Petra's voice. Breakfast is almost ready, so Petra wanted Subaru to hurry and wake up so they wouldn't be late. But Petra's voice was awfully close, like right next to his ear. Subaru rolls over and sees Petra in the bed, curled up next to him.
Could you have a seat right over there, please?
Yes, Subaru just woke up next to a 12-year-old. Instead of immediately hiring a lawyer, Subaru grabs Petra and squeezes her body against his own in the bed because it was a cold morning and Petra's body heat was nice and warm pressing up against Subaru. They exchange a bit of flirty dialogue, but eventually get out of bed and agree to walk to the dining room together. They're already late for breakfast, so Petra and Subaru, hand in hand, hurry down the red-carpeted hallway of the royal castle of Lagunica. Arriving at the dining room, Subaru is greeted by Krush's angry voice. "You're late," she says. Subaru gets nervous and tries to come up with an excuse, but Krush reminds him that she can see right through his lies with her divine protection of wind reading. She then accuses him of flirting with Petra, to which Subaru can't exactly deny. He feels bad, so he gives Krush a big hug and tells her that he didn't mean to offend her.
Then he gives a kiss.
As the two of them are hugging each other, they suddenly realize their faces have drawn very close together. Now, usually when this type of situation occurs, in most harems, the characters will get all embarrassed and jump away from each other. Well, in this story, Krush and Subaru start making out. Tongue action and everything just right there in the middle of the dining room.
Except the 12-year-old.
Krush is
She gotta go.
depicted as delicate and feminine. As she's kissing Subaru, her eyes start to water and her ears turn red. But as soon as the kiss is over, Krush immediately switches back to her normal, more masculine personality. All that kissing must have worked up quite an appetite, because right after they're done, they just sit down next to each other and start eating breakfast like nothing happened. Subaru takes a bite and then the scene changes.
Subaru!
Later that day, Subaru's in his office with a large stack of documents piled up on his desk. He's incredibly stressed about all the work he has to do as the king of Lagunica, but luckily Rom is there in the room with him. Subaru begs her to help him with the documents, and after a bit of resistance, she reluctantly agrees. Unlike
I think she's
Subaru,
gonna help him.
Rom's clerical work is surprisingly fast and efficient. Subaru notes that it's probable that Rom had also been doing office work behind the scenes at the Roswell mansion. He briefly watches Rom's profile facing the documents and observes her tense, emotionless expression. A smile from Rom is extremely rare, but when it does emerge, it reminds Subaru of a beautiful flower that only blooms about once a year.
You're gonna start making out with
Subaru
Rom
then
too?
tells Rom that when she isn't talking, she's actually very cute.
When you're quiet, you look way better.
String of insults, followed by a surprisingly polite request for Subaru to please not compare her with her sister. It was out of character for Rom to speak this way with Subaru, and something about it was oddly pleasant. They then return to the documents and continue working together in silence. Suddenly, the door bursts open and Priscilla barges in, announcing that it's her turn to spend time with Subaru. Subaru completely ignores her and continues working on his documents, but Priscilla kicks over the table in anger. Subaru rushes to catch the fallen items and tries to pick everything up off the floor, and after confirming that nothing's been broken, he sighs and explains to Priscilla that he's been really busy with all these documents. It's then revealed that Subaru's been bringing new technologies to ReZero. For example, he used a small fire crystal to create a portable furnace, or as we call it, a lighter. That way, people can cook stuff even if they can't
I'm
use
kind of surprised he didn't start doing that stuff already. I thought
Subaru made most of his money by doing the same kind of thing, so maybe this helped him convince all the candidates to marry him. I don't know. But this whole concept of bringing new inventions to the ReZero world seems to be pretty common for Subaru across all the timelines. Anyway,
I don't know why he didn't do that. Doesn't do that already anyway.
But it malfunctions and the fire crystal starts overheating. In a few seconds, it'll explode in Subaru's face, causing possibly fatal injuries. But Priscilla quickly pulls her fan out of her cleavage and slices the lighter in half, saving Subaru's face from being horribly burnt. Subaru thanks her for protecting him and decides that maybe he can take a short break from his work and spend some time with Priscilla. This made Priscilla pretty happy, so she walks up, sits on Subaru's lap, and then wraps her arms around him, pulling him close. Even though he's been touched by Priscilla many times before, he still isn't used to it. The sensation of her fingertips on his neck made his lips moisten, and then Priscilla leans in and starts kissing Subaru. That lucky bastard. Whatever, let's move on to Anastasia.
The only time you ever say that about Subaru.
From Subaru, watching him work on the big pile of documents. It seems that the Hoshin Trading Company was able to successfully expand their markets into Lagunica now that Subaru was king. The two of them exchange dialogue for a bit, and after the conversation's over, Anastasia gets up and sits down right next to Subaru. They start cuddling together like lovers do, and Subaru strokes Anastasia's hair. It was long and soft and felt like the hair of a little baby animal. While Subaru's essentially petting Anastasia, she nuzzles her nose into his chest like some kind of cat or something. After some time passes, Subaru eventually returns to his room where he finds Felt lying in his bed. So, once again, let's think about this from a legal perspective. If you get home and there's a 14-year-old in your bed waiting for you, the FBI is probably in the other room. But again, Subaru doesn't seem to be too worried about going to prison. He looks down at Felt and
Joke's on
slowly
you, Subaru.
approaches
It was
her while
undercover
he takes
cops.
off his jacket, removes his tie, and unbuttons his shirt.
No.
He reaches the bed and lays down next to her, the two of them facing each other. He tells her that because of the way she's positioned on the bed, he could see everything under her skirt when he walked in. Felt doesn't really seem to mind, but she punches Subaru anyway. However, Subaru catches her punch and pulls her arm towards him, embracing her with a hug. Felt starts blushing and explains that she's intimidated by Subaru's other wives. She thinks she can probably beat Anastasia, but doesn't think she can beat Emilia or Rem, and her chest isn't nearly big enough to compete with Krush.
Darn, a child's chest isn't big enough?
She's still determined to try her very best. Subaru thought that was adorable, so he hugs her even harder, and then a heavy rain of kissing pours down into the room. Later that evening, Rem asks what happened to Subaru's left eye. He explains that Felt punched him after he got a little carried away. Rem tells him to be careful next time, but Subaru tells Rem that she's actually the one who needs to be careful. As he says this, he touches Rem's stomach, which was noticeably larger than it used to be. Yes, Rem is pregnant with Subaru's child. So not only is Subaru a pimp in this story, but he is also a daddy as well. Nowadays, Rem spends most of her time knitting clothes and things like that. She asks Subaru if he would prefer the baby to be a boy or a girl. Subaru thinks about it for a bit and then tells Rem if it's a girl, he will treasure her and love her and spoil her so much that she'll want to marry her own father. And if it's a boy, then he'll pass down his own father's tradition and become his biggest obstacle, his greatest rival, and his partner in crime. Rem blushes as she listens to Subaru's little monologue and gives him a happy smile. Her smile was so cute that Subaru couldn't help it anymore. He calls Rem's name and she immediately knew what he wanted. Rem closes her eyes and Subaru kisses her, her tongue stretching out somewhat. They hug each other tight the entire time, entangling their love with one another.
I'm okay. Again, I'm clear for Rem is great. Rem is great.
Subaru was supposed to finish
we want to see that anyway, right?
Office work before he went to bed, but as we saw, he got a bit sidetracked by all of his hoes. He's finally got some free time to finish up his work, but instead he decides to go visit his main bitch. Opening the door, he walks into Emilia's room and sees her sitting on the edge of the open window with her hair swaying in the breeze. Emilia was a bit surprised that Subaru was visiting her at nighttime, but she happily welcomes him with a smile. Emilia, I wanted you naked when I got here. Her presence felt like it healed away all the stress he had.
How dare you have clothes on when I walk in the door?
Turning away to hide his face out of embarrassment, Subaru tries to leave the room, but Emilia stops him and pulls his head into her chest. She touches his back with a slow rhythm as if she was comforting a child. Subaru was exhausted from his busy day, so after a while he tells Emilia it's time for him to go to bed, but Emilia offers to let him sleep in her room. Subaru agrees and embraces Emilia with a hug, and the two of them fall into her bed together. Subaru says goodnight and then tries to fall asleep, but he's interrupted by Emilia saying Daisuki. Yes, Emilia tells Subaru she loves him. The two of them start kissing and the chapter ends. Now the next day, the entire story was deleted and replaced by a short bit of text. The text explains the parable of the butterfly dream, but it's written from the perspective of Ekidona. Now, Ekidona is a Season 2 character, but I'm not going to give any spoilers in this video, so there's no need to click away or anything.
I've already seen it. I've seen Season 2, but that's cool.
One day, a man dreamt he was a butterfly, but when he woke up, the man wasn't sure whether it was a dream or if he really was a butterfly who was now dreaming that he's a man. Isn't it fascinating? Those who have dreams are forced to either accept them or let go. Perhaps a dream held such weight that the dreamer themselves lost sight of reality.
Interesting.
Would they then consider reality a dream? And what if someone who has many dreams, each with their own characteristics? Which of those dreams is reality to them? I wish I could be there to find out. The end.
You know what?
So yeah, that crazy harem story was replaced by some poetic words about confusing dreams with reality, which is what the author intended this story to be. Remember, all of this was a prank. The Lust If wasn't supposed to be in the same category as the other If stories, so it wouldn't be fair to compare it with them.
I liked it.
Anyway, we didn't really gain much of anything from this If story. I guess one positive thing I can say about it is that some parts were pretty funny. Everyone was so out of character that it just felt way too stupid sometimes, and I couldn't help but laugh at a couple moments. I think my favorite part of the story was actually Subaru's relationship with Rem. Out of all the interactions, the part with Rem felt the most realistic to me.
Anyway, Right, that's
story,
exactly
but
what I was
it's kind
thinking
of a
too.
letdown when you give it the name Lust If. Again, this story was written before Pride, Wrath, Gluttony, and Greed, so the author hadn't figured out what he wanted the If stories to be yet, and that's why I think the Lust If should be rewritten as a proper If story to fit the standards set by the other stories. But yeah, what did you guys think about the Lust If? Did this seem realistic at all? I mean, with infinite lives, could Subaru actually maintain a harem with all of those girls? Personally, to me, the other If stories where he becomes a villain felt more realistic than this one, because I just can't realistically imagine all the competing candidates agreeing to share Subaru. I mean, Priscilla at least would totally start killing people, right? And by the way, where the hell was Beatrice? I would have preferred to see Beatrice instead of Petra, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys thought. Hopefully this video helped clear up the misconception that the story
a couple hundred years old, right?
Fans hated it.
Pretty sure.
Don't get me wrong, it definitely was bad, but that's just not why it was deleted. When the story was first released, the feedback it got was actually overwhelmingly positive. The Japanese novel readers liked it a lot, and I think the author did as well. I did enjoy the story, I just don't think it should be classified as the Lust If, that's all. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want more If stories, let me know. I think I might do the sloth route next.
I respect his decision. He said that he literally just said, obviously, you heard it too. He likes the story, just it shouldn't be the Lust If. I respect that. I think this actually suits it pretty well because if you think about it. Subaru, the whole show, he gets beat the hell up. Nothing is good for him, right? Ever. So this being maybe like a caveat to like either like tying it into if there was like a legit tie into Echidna and like with the little like poem that she said about it, like it being like a dream and it actually being like Subaru's dream, I think that makes more sense because let's be real, nothing good happens for him. So I could totally see that, like if they did it, let's say if they decided to put that in one of the books, right? And then it's just like one of those like ending stories. You know how like a lot of shows do like an ending like sequence or whatever. Like I know Blue Lock does like the short Blue Lock thing at the end of the episode, and then they do that, and then they have him wake up. I think that makes a lot of sense. Unless they actually make a Lust If story where he ends up dying or something like that, that would also fit in better. That'll fit in better, but I do like how the creator like kind of like spun it. So it's like, yo, butterfly type thing is fleeting. You know what I'm saying? I think it works out. I personally think it works out. I kind of like the story. It was goofy as hell. First of all, stay away from children. Okay. No Petra, who no felt, don't want that. Okay. And I'm not gonna lie, what he said about having a daughter and she will want to marry her father is one of the weirdest sentences I have heard in a side story. How about that? I'm gonna say side story. What the hell? Oh my god, I was okay with majority of the stuff, but yo, I don't know, man. Even in a different world, bro, I can't get behind like talking it over children or my daughter's gonna want to marry her dad. What kind of weird? What, man? All right, I'm gonna go. I thought this was goofy as hell. I was so focused on it, I barely even talked. I was so focused on just listening. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm gonna try to get the next ones out. I don't even know when. I'm just gonna go for it. Literally, I think the next one is Greed. I'm gonna try to do Greed, Pride. Sloth will probably be the last one because Sloth is long, bro. Sloth is 4 parts. Either way, I hope you enjoyed. You guys have a great rest of your day, night, evening, all that good stuff, man. I hope you're having an amazing new year. We're in the second week, which is wild, of 2025. And I'll see y'all next time, all right? Deuces.